when we went to lockdown, like, and nobody used their car for like a long ass time. There was like, I think, leftovers in her car for like a year or something like that. And she just didn't know because she just didn't go. Like, you know, like she maybe drove a few times, you know, I don't know. It's crazy.
So did you have to like spray down the whole car, or you just tossed it and it was okay?
It was fine. Nothing had like extended beyond the container's borders. The car's integrity was intact. Everything's okay. We still drive that car today.
And now you drive it as a married couple.
That's
Welcome,
right,
everyone.
baby.
Welcome to the Not So Common podcast with newlywed Alex Fasciani and still single Pat Contry.
It's always nice to get those clock chimes ticking behind you, like the alligator in Peter Pan a little bit. Tick-tock. Do you ever feel that when people get married?
No, I don't.
Some people always tell me that they like don't like that I got married because it makes them think about getting married.
No, I want people I love to be happy.
That's
But
so
then,
good.
but then I realize that it may never happen for me. But I'm just sort of I'm just resigned to the fate of it, if that makes sense.
That's how, you want to know something? That's literally the healthiest possible mindset you could have, even if you were 3 months away from getting married to your, like, you know.
I got close. I got close at one point, but that would have been a disaster of a marriage. So I'm happy it didn't happen.
Yeah, but even then, I'm just saying, to be like, I'm there, that's all you need.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I'll be dead, and then that's fine. If I don't have someone mourning me.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
But if I don't have someone mourning me, I don't have someone mourning me. I'll be gone. Who cares?
Somebody will mourn you.
Maybe. We'll see if,
They're already out there listening today, I bet.
They'll have
They've already been born.
There's some website that'll have all the pre-written obituaries for all the old YouTubers from the first gen. They have one written for you. You know how they always had the pre-written obituaries from when people died. It's how they come out right away. Maybe someone wrote ours already,
My trick, I'll tell ChatGPT to start working on mine now so that, like, later when somebody inevitably asks ChatGPT to write my obituary, it'll be pretty good. You know what I mean? Because I'll have some time to think about it.
So on today's podcast, we'll be discussing Alex's wedding. We'll be talking about GameStop chicanery and how we could save GameStop.
Oh,
We'll also be talking about the
GameStop.
downfall of one of my YouTube enemies and how I feel about that.
I just want to talk about having YouTube enemies too. That's just a fun element of this conversation as well.
Absolutely. So, are you happy to be married, Alex? You said it was a weight off your shoulders, basically.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like dream walking. Like, I don't know. I had a good wedding. Like, the wedding went well. Like, it wasn't a planning disaster. You know what I mean? Like, logistically, the things that I was hoping would occurred. So because of that, and because I wasn't like completely absorbed by like trying to find some Bluetooth attachment or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
What?
The type of shit that, like, look, I run a lot of events, you know what I mean? And I'm always like looking for a wire or like trying to figure out where the one guy is with the thing, or Jonathan Blow will not enter the building because he's not going to sign the NDA after all. Like, whatever it is, like the release, like, whatever it is, there's always something happening that's like in my craw. But because it wasn't that, it was just great because everybody that was there was somebody who was so happy to see somebody else there, like, or couldn't believe that somebody else was there that was there. And my whole family was there. The two sides of my family never see each other. Those two sides never see Kelly's family very much.
Okay.
Everything was good. And I felt accomplished because the thing that I've been dreading for 5 years is now complete. And it was, to my judgment, a success.
So was it 5 years in the making because you didn't have you had everything, all the pieces had to be in the right place, and both your lives had to be in the right place to finally get it done? Was it a money thing that was like, okay, we don't feel comfortable doing the wedding right now?
No. So Kelly proposed like before COVID. So,
okay,
like, we were going to do it and we were starting to plan it, and we like toured the venue and like talked to the people and everything. And then COVID. So we like said, oh, okay. And at the time when we were deciding to wait, there were still some older relatives, like my very sick grandmother, who we were trying to, like, have at the wedding. Unfortunately, she passed away earlier this year. And, a couple of the other people that I was worried about, either moved away or weren't available or also passed away. And so we finally had the wedding, and it just finally happened. And I don't know if you know this about me as a listener, but like Kelly and I have been married for like really long time, like in our brains, if you know what I mean. Like I've lived with her
You've been
and
living
thought
in
of her.
sin for several years, so
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. The Christian God is furious with me. No, but basically like we've been living partners, domestic partners for years and years and years. And so just finally kind of like putting a little bow on it was nice. And the fact that I feel like I got a lot of like adoration from my family and friends, which was like a good vibe. I guess that's the point of a wedding, but like, I don't know. It was good. I think it was good. It was positive. I didn't
For
think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did
for all
during.
intents and purposes, you were married. You were filing your taxes as together, right?
Before. No, no,
You weren't as in the household. You weren't filing your taxes together. Interesting. Okay.
no, but like, I don't know. We probably will now.
The tax benefits are insane for a couple.
Yeah,
That's
we're
like one of
gonna.
the main reasons you get married
Yeah,
is
we're
for
gonna. I mean,
tax.
hopefully, we're gonna get into that
It's
now. But like, that was definitely not where I was at when I was thinking about marriage. Was the
I'm, I'm,
tax benefits?
I'm just saying it's a business arrangement. Marriage is a lot of it because it gives you a next of kin to take care of the estate,
I
and
mean,
it
I'm
gives
not
them.
the
Huh?
CFO of like Japanese like
You, but no, but you
multi-billion
are the
dollar
C,
corporation.
you are the CEO of the Fasciani, marriage, and she's a CFO or vice versa. It is a business relationship. It's a legal business
That's
relationship
true.
marriage.
That's true. But I'm just telling you in terms of like why we did it. Like
Yeah,
eventually, yeah,
I'm being
yeah,
cheeky,
yeah,
but
of course.
there are lots of tax benefits to
Oh
getting
yeah, I'm
married.
ready. I'm fully aware of all that. I'm gonna get to that in a minute once I'm finished buzzing about the fact that
uh,
that
were,
giant party that I threw actually occurred.
uh, were, uh, uh, were you obviously it's not as common in our culture for the woman to propose to the man. Were you shocked or surprised when it happened?
I
Or
did
you
not expect it.
did you
I did
feel
not.
like she's a type of woman that could propose to a guy since most probably could never dream of it? Or were you
Yeah,
like,
I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I think you probably got a sense of it when you were there at the wedding, but our vibe is just not very traditional in general as a couple. And like the roles that we take on as partners is not very, you know, tradition like gender based or anything like that. So like we had both been talking about proposing and getting married at the time, and I was like thinking about how I was going to propose as well, but it was my birthday and we were on vacation in London. No, I say vacation, but we were traveling. I was traveling for work and she was with me. And but we had a couple days on either side because when you go to fucking London, you're going to go to fucking London. And we went to the woods and she proposed. And I was blown away. And she told me she just wanted to give me my birthday gift because it was my birthday.
well, you're thinking,
Uh,
all right, all right, let's go. But
yeah, but I just went out there. It was like a beautiful walk. It was like very surreal. And my buddy Amanda was like crouched in the bushes with a camera, like ready to take the
was
pic.
was it like the Winnie the Pooh forest sort of
It
deal?
really, it really was. It really,
Oh,
because look, we were in Telford, and if you know Telford, you know that there is a like independent like little amusement park in the woods there. And there was like a calliope like floating through, and I could hear like just a few little kids and like fairy book sounds. And it was very bizarre. It was like a very like dreamlike thing. And Kelly and Amanda had worked out a system where she was going to sing the Evangelion theme song at the top of her lungs when we were getting close. Cause that was like just, we were doing that as a bit at the time, it was
okay.
like totally innocuous. But she was like, when you hear that, get ready to take the picture. And then they had like a place picked out, like a scene, and they like, did it. And I was just absolutely blown away. I was like crying and shit. Like it was like one of the most meaningful moments of my life that
Gotcha.
somebody would do that.
Gotcha. Well, I'm happy for you. I'm happy it worked out for you. The wedding to me, though, gave me existential dread. To make it about Pat. To
What
me,
do you
this was
mean?
a destination wedding
Oh
because,
yeah, you had to go all the way to Los Angeles from San Diego
well, it's not
by
easy
coastal.
to
Yeah.
get in and out of LA from San
It's
Diego.
really easy to get in and out in LA though, however, and you had some at the wedding.
Well, don't foreshadow. Come on, you're ruining the bit. So Alex sends me a nice save the date and then sends me an invitation. I haven't been to a wedding and since Ian's wedding,
That
probably
was a
not
while ago.
nine
Yeah.
years or so.
Yeah.
It's been a while. So I get
What do you
this
think
night.
of the save the date?
What did I think of the save the day? I forgot even what it was.
It
It
was
was just
like
a
a
picture of you
picture of
two.
us on the beach.
Yeah, a picture
Yeah.
of you two.
Pretty dramatic.
Should have been more clothes on both of you, but that's fine. I'm kidding. It was fine. It wasn't R-rated. So I get the invitations and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be work for Pat. This is
I
gonna
could
be
tell.
work.
I could tell you were suffering.
And I probably overanalyzed it a bit too much because first off, I had to worry about, okay, getting in and out of LA. I was never going to drive in and then just go for the day because imagine wearing a suit in my car. It's going to be a 3-hour drive with traffic if I'm lucky on a Sunday morning going up there to Culver City. And then my AC in my old car is
Sunday
not great.
drive's not so
What?
bad going from
Huh?
San Diego. Sunday drive's not so bad going
Yeah,
from
but
San
I,
Diego.
I didn't want to like go up there dressed in like my shirt that, or else I had to find a place to shower and change when I get there because I'd be disgusting before the wedding. So now I'm thinking about, all right, now I got to book a hotel. If I'm going to book a hotel, I might as well just go all out and I'll just get it. I'll take Amtrak, all aboard Amtrak, and I'll just go up to there.
It's a romantic trip for sure.
It was very scenic. San Juan Capistrano passing by, Oceanside, lots of great
I
Orange
love going to
County and
San Juan
SoCal.
Capistrano.
A lot of towns I would potentially want to live in. You know, you can go there. There's what was the pier off of one of those cities, like right from the train tracks, like 100 feet away is the pier from the train tracks. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, all right, so I'll do that. Then I'm like, what am I going to wear? And so I ask Alex. I'll never ever forget this as long as I live. So I go semi-formal, huh? So like by the definition, that's like a suit because formal is like black tie tux, and so semi-formal is like one notch below. It's usually a suit and tie, something in that. And Alex goes to me, well, some people will be wearing very casual because it's Southern California, and some people will even be wearing shorts. And I said to myself, I don't know if that's actually going to happen. Maybe Alex is giving his friends a benefit of the doubt because he doesn't want to make his friends feel weird.
I told
wearing something.
75 people that they could wear shorts if they wanted.
I'm sure you did, but I still felt like this is going to be, if Pat shows up in shorts, he's going to be the pig date like you see in the movies where you bring the ugly person and everyone will be staring at me and my hairy legs and shorts at a wedding. So
Pat, it's because you're not used to being in a group of accepting like-minded friends who accept you however you want to be accepted. You know
no, it's just that. It's just my own insecurities about I don't want to feel out of place. So then I go on the quest to find, I don't have a light summer suit. I don't have like a nice linen suit.
First thing is, I just want to highlight that you have the instinct in your mind. Well, I can't possibly wear a dark colored suit in the summertime. Which is true in a very classic way. But if you so needed to, I believe you would have been fine in a dark colored suit.
Correct. But I have like a light gray suit, a very nice Ralph Lauren suit, but it is, full wool and I would be baking.
You would have been crushed in that first hour.
So I spent a week looking for a suit. I went to 4 or 5 different places. I went to Ross, I went to Home Goods, I went to TJ Maxx, and I went to Marshalls.
How was the selection, by the way?
There was no suits. So I got lucky in Jersey. I guess I was like, in Jersey, I lived like a mile away from a Marshalls Home Goods combo store that they had awesome suits that in 2 different occasions, I ended up buying 3 suits out there, like $800 suits for like $200 each, and got them custom tailored Ralph Lauren suits, like real suits that I had to this day that I'm not sure still fit me, which I'll get into. So I end up then I go to all these regular stores. I'm like, okay, no. I should have went to the mall, but even when I looked online, they only had like linen blazers. They didn't have full suits at like JCPenney or Macy's. So I go to
you kind of always have to go in to see what they've got at those.
So I go to Men's Fashion Depot, which is like the world of suits, right? It's the world of suits. That's all they have.
Outlet? What is it? An outlet store?
It's not an outlet, but it's like a Men's Warehouse sort of store. Okay. We don't have Men's Warehouse close to here. Back in Jersey, they did. So we're talking thousands of suits. So the old Italian tailor named Tony, who looks and sounds exactly how you think he does, goes, "Oh, what are you looking for?" And I need a nice, light-colored linen suit for a wedding. We don't have those here. I'm like, what? You have 1,000? so they just have rayon and polyester and wool. But then he goes, let me show you. We have one light-colored suit left. He knew exactly where it was in my size, which is, let's see, I am like a 45 regular, about 45, 46 regular. I got a big old chest nowadays. So he goes to this lighter light khaki colored suit. It was an Italian suit, $250. At this point, I'm not worried about the cost, but $250 that's a little bit more than I wanted to pay.
Linen suit though, that's nice. But
It wasn't linen though. It was wool.
Not linen. Oh yeah.
It was wool. And he goes, "Don't worry, wool's breathable." And I'm thinking, you son of a bitch, Tony. I know you got to try to sell me the suit, but I don't care if it's breathable. It's a 12-pound jacket on me when it's going to be 84 degrees out.
I'll tell you what, Davis wore a wool suit and he seemed all right, but he also was wearing a short sleeve shirt under it and not a dress shirt.
So I ended up going to Amazon. Amazon helped me out. I ordered 2 suits from Amazon. One that was nicer for like 125. And I was going by the description of people saying, "Oh, you should go for this size. It's size small, blah, blah." So I got an XL for
Is
one.
this a linen?
Linen, yeah. An XL in one. It was a 3-piece as well for like a 120, 125. And people
would you have worn all 3 pieces of this suit?
Absolutely not. No, that's too formal for this sort of way.
That's just too hot.
No, that would have been too much. So I got that one. So that one was a nice one. It had like belt loops on the pants and whatever. Ordered the XL. I ordered the backup, which is the one I ended up wearing. The backup was about $90. It still looked great, right? You saw me. I looked fine.
I gotta tell you, you did good. You nailed the vibe.
I put it on Instagram, Country Code. Check it out. Picture of me and Alex. The problem with those pants, though, the suit jacket was about the right fit when I got the large. It was like, okay, I could probably get it tailored and take out a little bit. This is essential. The pants, though, had no belt loops and had a fucking drawstring on it. It looked so low class. It looked like sweatpants.
You're supposed to tuck in the pants?
You're supposed to tie it in a bow. I tucked it in. So the problem was the pants were falling off of my ass every time I got up when I was sitting. It was awful. Terrible. So the pants, if they had a belt loop and I could put a belt on it, would have been fine. So I did that. Then I had to buy. So I wore that one because the nicer one, they were they sent me a fucking medium, not even a large that I could.
What is the range? What is the range on a medium versus a large?
Like 6 inches of difference. What do you like? There's no way I could have worn that. So like there were 2 sizes off. So I returned that one. It's funny because Frank came over and wanted to get the medium. He tried on the jacket. Said, this fits me. I'm like, Frank, I'm going to return it. You don't really want to pay for this. You're never going to wear it. But Frank looked good in it. So then I had to buy 2 dress shirts. I ended up wearing the plain one, and the dress shirt was fine. I got the large dress shirt. So I looked good. I bought a steamer since I don't have an iron. I bought a steamer. Got to the hotel room early after the great Amtrak travel. Steamed the suit.
Were you in a suit? No.
When I went up there?
On the train? No, right?
No, I got a hotel room. I showered, I changed, I steamed the suit, and I steamed the shirt and got most of the wrinkles out so I could look presentable. I went all out. So then I show up and I'm like, okay, all these people in shorts and short sleeves and Hawaiian shirts. I'm going to look great and classy. And I'm waiting in line and everyone's wearing suits. Everyone's looking great. And then I walk in and I'm like, wow, everyone looks very nice here. So the point is this, Alex. You try to trick me. You try to gaslight me into wearing shorts.
To gaslight you.
You try to gaslight me.
So many people at the wedding were not wearing suits. So many people were just wearing like a polo.
No one
slacks
had shorts on. Nobody had shorts
on. But I think that's just because no one had the nuts to have shorts on. Because I said my go-to when people talk to me about the wedding, I said, wear a hoodie if you want. I said, don't, because it's going to be hot.
Disrespectful that would be to Rose Fasciana, the matriarch of the Fasciani family that I met.
She wouldn't care.
She would have said, you look like a Gavone, she would have said if
she wouldn't have said she wouldn't have said you look like a Gavone.
That's what she would have said to me. So I'm happy. The hassle was worth it. It was a great wedding. I'll do the full review.
I love that. I can't wait for that, actually.
But
I started to realize what this review was going to be as he was setting up for it, and I'm excited about it now.
You're excited for this is how fucking crazy I am. Because Alex,
I thought it was going to be a little less formal than it is. So now we're even. You know what I mean?
I was happy that people looked 90% were dressed very like they were dressed to me how you should be at a wedding. And those folks that were, a little more casual, that's fine. You didn't care, but I wanted to look nice for you. That was the nicest I'd looked in 10 years.
You looked great. You looked great. Everybody actually looked fucking great. Everybody
Everyone
like
looked amazing.
in scale to who they are as people, like and where
Everyone overachieved on their
that's what I'm saying.
dress.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like everybody went hard for them, you know? Even people who I know don't own a single piece of real, like, formal wear looked very good at this wedding. That's all I'm saying.
But since I'm a psychopath and I review things for a living, I've written over 500 reviews on these three books.
A certain set of Nintendo branded books.
By the way, you can get a Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the N64 library. You can pre-order at ultimatenintendo.com. ultimatenintendo.com. And if you're in Canada, they're going to get a wholesale bunch of them. If you can save on shipping, go to retromtl.com. Shout out to RetroMTL.
How fast can I get a privileged early copy?
There's only 2 of them at my house. I guess you can break in. So, well, 2 of each cover. There's 4. So
that's plenty.
So unfortunately, these books have destroyed my mind. So now I walk through life reviewing every little thing. So I figured I'm going to review every asset and every facet of the Fasciani wedding because like with games, I break everything down into categories. With games, there's story, there's gameplay, there's graphics, there's audio, there's visuals, there's multiplayer elements, and more. And so I'm going to break
audio
down
and visual at this wedding too. I will add that there was audio and visual at this wedding as well.
So there are 6 different categories of things at this wedding. I'll go through each one, then we'll do the average score. I don't know if you want to guess or give you can't rate your own wedding. That'd be weird.
Here's my thing.
What?
It's a very different experience. Once people who have been married will tell you, the experience of being at the wedding for me, I was like dream walking. I don't know anything that happened. You were
like either on like mescaline or something, or you were God. Like you were just either like the experience was like overwhelming you. You could tell, and you're talking to all these people that you haven't seen in forever.
It took me 2 hours to walk from the altar to like the middle of the courtyard, and then I like went upstairs for a minute and drank a cup of water. I came back down and like somebody forced me to eat my double, and then we did. And then we did, another hour of just saying hello to people who I like know intimately. It took me 3 hours to say hello to some of the people.
Yeah, I waited like 15 minutes to kiss the ring. I remember. I was hoovering around there. All right, let's start with the venue / ambiance.
Yeah.
This is a good rating.
Yeah,
I give it a 7.5.
That's good.
That's a strong rating.
I'll take a 7.5.
That's very good
in any category. Yeah.
So it was at the Smog Shop, which used to be, I believe, like some sort of, I guess, smog shop if you're in California.
A literal garage. Yeah.
Yeah, like a garage. There's still garage doors you can open. It was an indoor outdoor venue. The outdoor venue was very nice. There was like rocks and little succulent plants. That's where everything was set up for the ceremony. And there was like outdoor couches and stuff. So that was very nice. And then the indoor area, you can walk right in a couple different areas, was more like an aesthetic of, like, I want to say it was like a nice restaurant aesthetic with like tile-ish floors. Like it was almost like I want to say the original garage floors, but it kind of almost was, but it worked.
It felt like linoleum, almost like that. I don't know if it's linoleum in garages, but that shit I'm talking about.
Yeah. And the tables are nice wooden tables. There was a vaulted ceiling with a huge fan, like a $5,000 fan.
A shop fan.
We looked up what those fans cost. They cost several $1,000s.
Yeah.
Those fancy like fans were like the wings are like 12 feet long.
You guys might not be able to have tell because there was so many people in there, but when I was standing under that thing and I was like one of the 3 people in there and they turned that sucker on. Oh, man.
It moved some air, huh?
Yeah, move some air. Yeah.
Okay, so why it wasn't a higher score? It was hot as balls outside. And so I luckily got a spot in the shade for the ceremony. If not, I would have been basting in the sun.
It was actually like predicted to be 10 degrees hotter, but it was actually less hot than that.
Okay, it ended up being like low 80s, but I think it was predicted to be hotter than that.
Yeah.
It was directly in the sun, but you guys did a great job giving out hand fans that folded up. That was without that, we would have been dead.
We were thinking of
we would have been dead. So 7.5, that's respectable. Entertainment was strong. Entertainment gets a 9.
Oh, look at that.
9 out of 10.
That's pretty good.
That's almost a 10. So this is what the Fasciani wedding had to offer. You had 3 or 4 arcade games. You had Cruisin' Exotica sit-down arcade machine. You had a Neo Geo cabinet, I believe with a multi-car, because I saw several different games they played.
Yeah, it's a
4 slot.
Metal
Okay,
Slug, all the best games. Yeah,
I beat
Puzzle
someone
Bobble.
best of 7 in Puzzle Bobble.
There you go.
Then you had a Doctor Who pinball. I don't know if that's one of your favorites or it was available, but I played like 10, 12 games on that Doctor
I
Who
love
pinball.
that. I love that machine. And recently, Kelly and I like had a very, very good time rewatching a bunch of Doctor Who, and so we just kind of like thought it was a
So
good shout out. And I love that machine.
so the Neo Geo cabinet was great because I met someone who used to be a colleague of yours that did writing. I forget their name.
Cameron,
Cameron. Okay,
I bet
Cameron
you
was very
kind of
nice.
salt and pepper.
It's funny as I talked to multiple people throughout the night. I'm not pushing the books, but everyone's like, "Oh yeah." Once I knew who I was, "Oh yeah, I have your book." Like 4 people had my book somehow, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Why does everyone have the book?" I guess the freebies I sent over to your ex workplace.
No, it's just literally Venn diagrams crossing over at a
Sure.
wedding where people are excited to play Samurai Showdown on the Neo Geo. You know, there might be a few people that have the NES guidebook. That's all.
Sure. So you had 4 different arcade games. I didn't play Cruise and Exotica. And then I think I got the high of 86 million or my high of 86 million on Doctor Who. That's a tough pinball machine to play.
Yeah.
The flow is
The
tough. On that
hardcore one. Yeah.
Then you had a great band.
Oh man.
Very
It's
good band.
Smacked. Business time. Smacked.
Great variety of 80s classics. The Take on Me almost closed the show. It was incredible
Yeah.
there. And a little too loud, but I'm an old man, but but it was
I
a
told
band.
them I wanted the most classic, rockuous, like old school wedding band performance possible.
Finish with Journey. Don't stop believing.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was great. And then throughout the night, you had little interludes of pre-recorded little segments with Kelly and Alex saying, "Hey everyone, welcome to our wedding," and it was charming. It wasn't overwrought. There was about 4 or 5 of them throughout the night, and they marked times of when things were happening. Oh, hey, the food is here. Go grab the food. Oh, hey, the dessert's here. Or hey, and hey, we got to leave now. And it was cute, and it was creative. So that's why it gets a 9. It's a 9.
That. What kept it from being a 10?
More variety of arcade machines, probably. That would have been a 10.
Should have brought a mister. Yeah.
Should have brought a mister. Refreshments. Refreshments is a tough one to judge.
Does refreshments include, is that beverages?
That's the beverages. Yes,
okay.
Beverages. Okay. Beverages only. This is the lowest rating out of everything. This gets a 6.5.
Okay.
Here. So I want to say first and foremost, the bartenders are very nice. They were great. I tipped them. They were very appreciative of that. I mostly drank, Diet Cokes, but I got whiskey and a couple things and tequila. So, and the quality of the alcohol was good. You did a good job with that, Alex, but there wasn't any mixers. That in terms of like, there was no cranberry juice. There was nothing for margaritas.
Yeah.
So I was just a little bit disappointed by that.
They showed up on the day. They showed up on the day and said, "No, we don't have that."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they couldn't provide like any juices, like orange juice or pineapple.
I almost sent out a runner to go get it, and they convinced me that was like overcomplicating things 5 minutes before the thing was going to start.
I would have gladly got a lift and done that. I would have went to Target and I would have came back with $100 worth of mixers. I honestly would have, just to help out. But anyway, so that was a little, but the alcohol was good.
All right, now and the wine was handpicked.
Yeah, that's fine. It was just the fact that no mixers was weird, so I had to do like a tequila and Diet Coke. That was rough.
Yeah, I agree that it was weird. I'll say that.
I'm fair though. I'm fair with that rating.
It is weird. Yeah.
Okay. The guests. I'm going to rate the people around me. Are they entertaining? Are they sociable? Do I feel comfortable? Do I feel weirded out? This is strong. Your guests are an 8 out of 10. That means the people
great.
Have a very strong rating.
From you, an 8 is like a 10. Almost.
It's not the highest rate I'm giving, but I gave it 9 entertainment. But so, like I said before, I sat right behind the matriarch, your Aunt Rose.
Yeah.
She was a delight to speak to. Yeah. And I guess it was also I guess it was that your cousin?
Her kids, Matt and John.
Is that your cousin technically?
One of them is like that Hawaii dude, and one of them is like the more like I look like a professional paintballer dude.
Yeah, everyone was nice. There was, I believe there was someone who might have had too much liquor, an older woman that might have tried to shoot her shot at me, but it's a wedding, whatever, that's fine. Yeah. I wasn't offended.
Hey, that's just how it goes, right?
And then the shock of all shocks, I'm sitting in the second to last row in the shade for the ceremony, and then I see someone I haven't seen in 7 years sit down next to me. And I'm like, I didn't know their name at first, but I know who they were. I spoke to them. It was Paul from the Continue show. And I was just like, I almost did a double take because it was almost like, I think I talked to you about it before. It was almost as if the algorithm of NPC creation in my life ran out and then filled in someone I hadn't seen
An
in forever.
old guy, yeah.
Someone that should not have been there. It made no sense for that person to be there. I had no idea you knew anyone from the Continue show, let alone Paul. And I hadn't seen Paul since like Con Bravo in Canada in 2017. But we got along famously, and his wife, Jen, is a delight, absolute delight. And I was hanging out with them the whole night as a third wheel. It was great. So your
Some
guest,
East Coast energy for you to glom onto and feel at home with.
yeah, it kind of. Sometimes the SoCal thing doesn't creep me out, but it's a different vibe.
Philly is close to Jersey.
Yes, it's it's right across the river from Cherry Hill.
Yeah.
So an 8 for guests. All your guests were people I talked to were all nice.
I'll take that.
There was one awkward thing that happened, but I won't go into it.
That's fine. That's fine.
Right.
That's not on me.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Here comes the food. Now the food is the most complex rating because with food you have to combine the 3 different elements.
There's a lot going on with the food in my wedding.
Cocktail hour, main course, dessert. So I'll keep the rating for the last here. So we'll start with a cocktail hour or whatever, happy hour, cocktail hour food. You have your meats and cheeses and you have your crackers and your spreads and you had like fruit salad lay out there. You had a bunch of hummus
that were stationary table. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a stationary table. And it was like most of your standards. It was solid. It was good. I liked the hummus in particular. The breads smelled delicious. I was very disappointed the breads were not available to eat though. They were the cinnamon raisin. I could smell from 4 feet away. I'm like, are we gonna cut those breads up? They had decorative 5 or 6 different breads, and I was like, I want to eat those breads. And I'm not sure why we weren't
I
eating the
didn't know
breads.
what the decoration was going to look like before they showed up. They just asked for the colors.
Did you see those breads, Alex?
I did. I thought that they were going to serve the breads as things to put the meats and cheeses on.
Yes. Yeah. So, but that was solid. Like if I had to give all that a rating, that'd be like a 7. I would have raised it if we could eat the breads. Yeah. All right.
That's weird.
What's weird?
That there was breads as part of the display that were not edible.
They looked fucking amazing. The breads. Yeah. They were fresh breads,
and the way they did it with the flowers and everything next to them looked nice.
Yeah, the round. People out there, they're like the round bread loaves,
looked
like
rustic, nice hand. Yeah,
yeah. There was probably like a pumpernickel. There was a cinnamon raisin. There was a bunch of ones. All right, the main course. This is where you might walk off the show. So Alex, beforehand, when we did the RCPs, you had to tell what type of In-N-Out burger you want. So you want a double, you want a single, you want lettuce, tomato, you want a vegan option.
There were 4 options. There were only 4 options.
Okay. Cheese or no cheese, single or doubles, and all those combinations.
Or a veggie one.
Or a veggie, yeah. It's like 5. So I think I went for a double with no cheese, just because I was concerned about my suit and cheese dripping. So they all show up. They're all stacked there, and I have no idea where to find my option. I stupidly had thought that like they'd be put down for each of us, like if we had our own places to sit, like, hey, here's your individual
burger. They were supposed to put all of the same ones together.
So I took a double with cheese with no lettuce and tomato on it, and I regretted it immediately. I mistook it, and while I was walking away, I said, well, now I can't go back and look for it, but this is not my burger. I wanted lettuce and tomato with no cheese, and I felt weird, so I ended up eating it. But there was no, I believe there was no ketchup station or packets. So that to me was a downer because it was a little dry. The burger was a little dry. Obviously, they're pumping out, 150 burgers. It's going to happen. So I was disappointed in the burger, Alex. I'm very sorry. I was disappointed in the burger.
You don't have to have enjoyed it for it to have had the effect that it was intended to have.
The effect was the vibe. I get it. It was a vibe meal. That's it. Yeah. I get that. Were you thinking about doing a side at some point, like a bunch of fries in a bucket?
We were thinking about doing it, but when I talked with the caterers about it, they were like,
"Can't do
it." They're like, you think it would be easy to do that, but it's actually like you need a fryer and you need a place to put all these fries, and the amount of space that it would take up in the kitchen would be crazy for us to do that.
So you don't think they could have got some sternos and get some of those like silver serving things and put the fries on, it wouldn't have worked out.
In
to
and
keep them
out
warm.
In and Out themselves does not even do fries remotely. They do bags of potato chips instead because they can't guarantee the quality of their fries.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I was like, all right, it's a wedding. Alex loves In and Out. It's a whole vibe.
Yeah.
But the dessert option was, dare I say it, a stroke of genius.
It
And
was
this
so
is what
perfect.
this is
It was
what
also
saved this is what
delicious.
saved
Yeah.
the food rating in the category. So they had a pile, a tower of long churros, and they cut them up and had, was it 6 or 8 different dipping sauces for the churros?
Many. Yeah, they just said a boozy flight of dipping sauces.
There was 3 alcohol dipping sauces and 3 non-alcoholic. There was chocolate. There was a sweet apple-ish one, I believe, and there was a third one.
like apple cinnamon.
Let me tell you, 98% of those churros were eaten by the end of the night. They were a hit, Alex. They were a hit.
Yeah, they were banging.
It
and
was
the thing they made us that like looked like the other way you're supposed to make a campfire, like but made out of churros that they covered in whipped cream and had us cut instead of the cake. Looked like it was going to be a daunting and sort of like disgusting thing, but it was like I probably ate less and felt better about myself than I would have with any sort of cake or pie, right?
Yeah, I was concerned about, all right, no pie, no cake, no cupcakes. How's this going to go through? You know, I have a sweet tooth, but the churros hit the spot. It was inspired.
They were good. Yeah, they were delicious. Yeah.
So putting all those 3 together in my calculator, the food rating gets a 6. So above average.
What about the past foods?
What's that?
What about the tray past foods?
Okay. You know what? I will raise it a half star. The tray pass foods were good. Thanks for reminding me.
How fun was the ketchup and mustard corn dogs? That was
okay,
hilarious.
fine. I'll raise it to 7. You got a 7. You got it. You got me. You're right.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
That makes up for the burgers to me. Okay. You're right. So there was mini corn dogs. There was they said tuna carpaccio, which is just sushi. I thought that was funny. They called it that. So they had little sushis passing around. They were delicious. The ones during cocktail.
The tuna's one of the few things I had, and it actually was legit good fish in there, which was
it was good. I had like 5 of them.
Yeah.
It was great. And there was little chicken satay little guys too.
Oh, I never even saw one.
Okay.
I forgot that I even had those till just now because I literally did not see one.
And then finally the bride.
Oh,
so there's two things that when people say, what do you remember about a wedding? It's always the food they remember and the bride. And Kelly looked spectacular. She had a very nice, like Columbia Pictures torch lady outfit.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the look she's going for, but
they were saying at the wedding, they were saying Columbo and Columbia.
Okay, yeah. No, she looked like the lady Columbia Picture. She did.
Yeah.
She had the little mini
vibes. Yeah.
The little crown, spike crown little thing. She had the little sashes connecting from like her wrist, on her arm. She looked incredible. And she's obviously an incredible person. She puts up with you. So she gets a 10 out of 10 on there.
She looked great. And the mom made the dress. And
oh, really?
Sister. Yeah. That was handmade by mom and sister too.
So you're lucky that the food and the bride get extra weight in my rating score. That's a multiplier of 1.25.
This is like Doctor Who pinball.
Which brings, so from a 7.5 for venue, 9 for entertainment, 6.5 for refreshments, 8 for guests. The food multiplier gets you to 8.75, and the bride gets you from a 10 to a 12.5. The average score of Alex's wedding was 8.7083 repeating. So an 8.7. That's a strong wedding.
That's a strong wedding.
I
feel like there's a lot of things that can go wrong with a wedding that can be really bad for the guests. And whether, like as far as things that brought my rating down, like the weather is like, something that I couldn't really,
yeah, the wedding, unless you put the wedding like 2 months later, you're going to have a hot wedding in August. But once it hit like 6 o'clock and cooled down,
yeah,
it was nice. It was tolerable. Once it got to like 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it like wasn't hot once the sun was gone. Like it was pretty. It actually marked the end of hotness in LA so far. Like it hasn't gotten hot again since.
So there you go, Alex. You got an 8.7.
That feels good.
Score. That's a good score.
That feels real good.
I think if you had ketchup for the burgers, you would have got another 0.25 on the food.
I just don't play that. That's just that's an oversight because it just wasn't in my mind that somebody would want that.
All right. Well, you got to talk to Pat about. Hey, what do we need here, Pat? I still think with my stomach. That's how I always.
If there was fries, there would have been ketchup. But I just I didn't think about it with the burgers.
Sure. Just get a wheelbarrow of mini ketchup packets and have it there for everyone.
I probably have one in my actual fucking apartment just from living here for this fucking
I have bags of them from
those little dunkers too from nuggets, honey mustard or whatever.
You could have just brought those from your home. Yeah, hey Pat, go back to my apartment and get all the strays. Yeah. And just bring them here. But all right, so that's the
that
wedding.
Feels good. That's pretty good.
I think I'd be nervous about some of my scores here. Yeah, refreshments is a little low. Food,
because I agree. I think that was weird. I think it was weird not to have mixers when I specifically bought something called the mixer package.
Oh, really? And then there was no mixers?
And I was like, isn't that the package? That just has sodas.
Sodas, but that's not just mixers. Includes juices.
I'm telling you, lime juice, cranberry juice, and
pineapple.
Yeah,
the standard
pineapple,
orange.
Yeah.
I asked for a screwdriver. They told me no, we don't have oranges. And I was like, what? Okay.
Exactly.
You would have seen Drunk Pat if there was mixers. You would have seen Drunk Pat if there was mixers.
Should have went for the wine.
I'm not a wine guy. I'm not a wino.
I was surprised. Of all the wine, the orange wine was the wine that went.
Oh, I see. I would have tried the orange wine. I had no idea.
Yeah, there were 3 wines, and the orange wine went.
All right. You want to save GameStop, Alex? Is that something you want to do or not? Really?
I do want to save GameStop because here's the thing, I don't give a shit about the real company GameStop, right? I think they should probably die. I don't actually want to save.
You think they should die?
I'm just done. I think they're evil now, right? I believe that they're evil. But the notion of what could a giant video game store do to right itself in 2024 to me is a very interesting topic. Do you know what I mean? Because GameStop, I don't know. I used to like GameStop. I used to go there all the time, but they have a bad vibe. There's vultures whenever I walk in the store, circling overhead. Last time I went in there, their credit card system was down all over because they said that they didn't pay the bill or something.
Really? They didn't pay the bill? Well, all that meme cash.
I have no idea what happened. That's what the employee at the store told me, which I don't know if GameStop has a problem with employees talking at stores, but I watched that panel with you and Frank, and at the end you told a story with Ian on your show about you going in and talking to a GameStop employee and them being they sold Game Informer years ago, and they went out of business themselves.
Yeah, The GameStop employee tried to gaslight me about Game Informer going out of business. It was great. I couldn't believe it.
Has anybody else who works at GameStop said anything about that in your comments?
No, not that I checked. But so anyway, so basically, this is what's been happening. Game Informer went out. It was shut down abruptly. They were 75% done with a new issue.
It's almost getting lost in a fucking haze of cool people in the games industry losing their jobs for no fucking reason.
So GameStop has not had good PR because of this. So then on August 27th, they didn't even
let them write a goodbye letter.
Yes, they shut down the account before the editor-in-chief or content editor could actually write a goodbye. They nuked the fucking Twitter account and the website. They nuked over 10 years of articles and stuff for no reason at all. No reason. Just awfulness. These people don't care. The hires up. You saw a conversation I had with Frank Cifaldi of the Video Game History Foundation at Long Island, Retro Gaming Expo, and we were going back and forth about it. So basically, I think GameStop then announces this a few days ago, and people were like, hey, Pat, retro games are back at GameStop. So GameStop says, the classics are back. New retro GameStops are now spawning near you. It's a fucking lie. There are no new retro GameStops. And this is what that employee that told me 2 weeks ago that it was happening, is that all they're doing is the same thing that Funkoland did in the early 2000s when they took all their old retro stock from all the individual stores and consolidated it into stores here and there, which is exactly what GameStop Retro is. So now they try to...
So does it say it at the store at all? Do you know when you walk into a store that it's the one that has all the old games at it?
The only way you know is now on the website. You go find a retro store. Okay, how many are within 100 miles of me?
So it's just a web portal? Like the store itself has no sign or branding?
I don't know. I'm gonna go to my local one probably within the next week or so.
Is it one?
There's one within 70 miles of me. One.
What's the website for this? Can you send it to me?
GameStop.com/retro store locate. I'll send it right in the chat here. So the point is this. GameStop is trying to gaslight people, just like that employee tried to gaslight me into thinking that Game Informer was independent and GameStop didn't shut it down, into thinking that, hey, we have new retro game stores, which is funny because they try to pilot before the pandemic and before they got their new fucking NFT initiative bullshit before the pandemic. Several years ago, they did have a retro gaming initiative, and they did have a retro game pilot store that they attempted. But this is not this. This is just, we're going to put all our stock into one location. And maybe, Alex, there's a sign that says, hey, this is the retro gaming store, but there's nothing to this at all. Nothing. There's already people are already like taking pictures online of it, where it's like, oh, there's like 5 shelves of all stuff. Like, that's it. Like, that's all. That's what makes it a retro gaming location.
If there's signs, at least there's signs. But if it's not going to change into a retro gaming store,
they can't do that.
They could.
That's not how they make. No, they don't have the stock to do that for one store to begin with.
They should close like 1/3 of their stores, like Starbucks. They should reinvest in making their stores nice and turn like 1/3 of them into retro game stores.
Okay, are you trying to save GameStop now? Okay, Alex, how are you going to try to save GameStop?
If I was actually GameStop, okay, let's come up with what saving means. First of all, are we trying
to make it a profitable company?
And how is it doing right now?
It's not turning profits.
Not at all.
I got to look it up, but before the pandemic, they only had one profitable quarter in like several years before, and that was because they shut a bunch of stores down and fired a lot of people.
I think they should do that again, first of all. I think they should shut down about 1/3 of their stores.
Okay, how many are left? I want to see how many are left in the world.
I bet like a couple thousand.
There is 4,100 as of fiscal year February 2024.
Let's get that down to 2,500 stores.
Okay, so you're going to cut it by about 40%. Okay.
If I'm really in good faith trying to do this, right? Like, we have to be not just nice to the people that work there. We're trying to just be the executives at GameStop that are trying to turn this company around and turn it into something good. So first thing you need to do is you need to lower the overheads, because we have too much cost being spent on keeping stores open because the stores are shitty. There's no fun going into a GameStop. It's not a fun place to be. And the games aren't even front and center. It's hard to find the games. What they need to do is like redesign their entire interior. They need to move away from the thing that GameStop looks like and do something more like what game stores used to look like, so that there's this like sort of harmony of retro.
Accessibility, kiosks, you can play them. Like the Funko Land, that's what Funko Land was.
Like, you know what I really like? The kind of store that has like a counter in the middle.
Okay.
And
then, it's rare, but okay.
Yeah, like counter in the middle, and then you can like go downstairs. And
that's like Digital Press in New Jersey, my all-time favorite video game store. That's like the model video game store. That
feels good. I realize that not every store has a basement, but at least a back room that you can go into and come out of, where most of the stock is, right?
You don't want the customers to be able to go there. You just want it to exist like that, is what you're saying.
I want it to be kind of like a landing area for games, and then shelves with actual games on them. And then maybe around the outside is where all the toys are. You know what I mean? Like,
gotcha.
Something where like you can go to this thing and it's got all Switch games on it, or it's got all Wii or whatever. And we need to go far back. Like, I think if we want to have, every normal store should go back 2 generations at least.
Sure.
And I think that it should be like a retro style store going back 2 generations, kind of like how GameStop was in like 2006.
That still sells new stuff though.
Sells new stuff. And then of the 2,500 stores that are still going, I would then target demos. Like probably places like Texas, places like Southern California, places like New York, places where people care about old video games. And maybe kind of just do a heat map, right? And sort of center stores and try to integrate rather than like, I don't want to set up in like Seattle and go toe to toe with the retro gaming stores in Seattle. You know what I'm
want to go
saying?
up against, like Pink Gorilla.
I'm not trying to like undercut Pink Gorilla and put them out of business because.
But most major cities have at least one or two, retro games.
Yeah, but the point is not to be like this sort of like dominating interest. The retro store is more like a hobbyist's shop. Like it's it's useful for people who play old video games and offer services, and maybe the stock isn't so deep because nobody's going to go sell a Hydlide to GameStop over Pink Gorilla. You know what I mean? Like if you care about TurboGrafx 16, like you probably already know about Pink Gorilla, and you want to go, yeah.
Well, the problem is this is what happened when they try to do this. When they try to, before the pandemic, you remember, for a couple of years, they were accepting they started doing it in, was it late 2016? For a couple of years, they were accepting trade-ins everywhere for old games going back to the NES. And the problem is that they were taking in counterfeits, bootlegs. They didn't have training to, mostly obviously GBA is one of the biggest ones back then, it was at least, where tons of Pokemon GBA games that are phonies, and they were like sometimes tossing out manuals and boxes, but sometimes they were charging the regular cart price, but people were getting the manual boxes. So it was like it was the Wild West. People were doing YouTube videos saying, hey, I ordered a $400 game and it's fake, or I ordered a $100 DuckTales 2, but it also included the manual and cartridge, the manual and box, which means it's worth $200 more. So they didn't know what they were doing. They weren't prepped for it because it takes a ton of training to sell retro games. So yeah. I think it's only feasible, like if you had these locations, one every 100 miles, we'll just say, I think they had to be only dedicated to retro. And
the ones that are like retro stores need to be retro stores.
Yes, but like train them up like a retro game store, and then they have to compete with what's there because you have to. And then, but that's a problem.
I just mean in terms of size. Like something like Pink Gorilla is like a huge store that's like an institution. I don't think GameStop needs that. I think GameStop is just trying to get retro games to people in areas where you can't get them. Well, so maybe. So being that and going back to the Starbucks analogy again. When Starbucks did that, which was like 15 years ago they did this now? I can't remember when they closed all their stores. And then what they also did was they closed for business for like a month and a half or something like that for like several weeks.
Starbucks closed all their businesses?
And then retrained all their employees.
Really? I did not know that. Wow, they took a hit. I'm sure the
it was a huge
stockholders
hit.
were not happy probably.
It was a huge hit, but they saved the company doing that. Legit.
Really, they were in that bad of straits. They dominated the coffee world.
But it's the same thing that happens all the time with big corporations. Like McDonald's is kind of running into this problem right now, I think. And
they got lazy and they overcharged.
Well, it's not just that. Well, that's a whole other problem. But like, just even before the pandemic, McDonald's was running into this problem where they're so overextended and they have so much infrastructure that they have to maintain that they start to cut corners to lower costs and all this stuff, and the business just becomes something untenable because the end product is now undesirable.
Well, McDonald's is not untenable. They're making record profits. It's just that people are now like, wow, why is the burger 3 times the price it was 10 versus?
But that's
10 years
more.
ago?
I'm talking more about brand health. I'm talking more about like the types of things that lead to longevity, like the kind of things that lead to company health over time, like branding.
Oh yeah, over time the profits are going to be down. They saw a drop in profits, McDonald's, over the last year as more and more families opt to eat at home to save money. They basically outcharge their customers. They've
taught their base that they're shit.
They introduced a $5 meal deal with the hopes of earning more cash. The problem is they should have had a $5 meal deal forever. That's the problem. The problem is they raised their they tripled their Whopper price over the past 10, 12 years. That's the problem.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, okay, going back to GameStop.
But that's the same problem with GameStop.
GameStop net sales were $888 million for the first quarter compared to $1.2 billion the prior year. That's a drop of 35% or so. So net loss of $32 million for the first quarter compared to a net loss of $50 million for the first quarter. So they're back to where they were before. They're not bleeding as money as much because they have less stores, but they're still not making money buying and selling games. They just have a ton of cash. They have $1 billion in cash sitting there from it being a meme stock and doing stock.
But that's
stock sales.
that's the perfect position to be in.
Well,
That's the
if you use that
perfect
money
position to be in.
for good to revitalize your business, but they have not because they threw it and they shit it away on NFT marketplace bullshit. That's all they've done with it. They've done nothing else.
That was actually like, I hope that whoever did that like is destitute now.
No,
Like,
it's not. It's the Chewy guy that came on and wanted to do it. The Chewy CEO, ex-Chewy CEO. He's the guy
I thought
that
he
pushed
left
for that.
GameStop already.
Ryan Cohen, that was it.
I
Ryan
thought he already
Cohen.
left GameStop.
No, he's the current chairman and CEO of GameStop.
That was the stupidest shit that you could have possibly done. One Google search could have told you that there's no. And what year was this that they did this? Like 2 years ago?
January 21. That's when the meme stock occurred.
Yeah,
That
3
was
years
it.
ago?
Yeah,
Like,
3.5
Jesus
years.
fucking Christ. How stupid do you have to be to mess up like that?
Well,
How much money did that cost?
that's
to
the
set
thing.
up
You
that?
don't know because they probably would never reveal that. And then they had their own, as we talked about. I talked about with Frank Cifaldi. They had their own digital token or coin that they sold as soon as it was like live. So they tanked the price of it, but probably made tens of millions selling it because they knew that, hey, this token's bullshit. This NFT shit's already 2 years out of date. By the time they launched it, and they couldn't even capitalize on that. Just awfulness.
There's no way that was like good. There's no way that was like a nice infusion of cash at that time. There's no way that was profitable enough.
No, they didn't make any money on that, but they made money with the meme stock. That's how they got out of debt, and that's why
that's just total dumb luck.
Yeah,
and
yes,
they should immediately turn around and completely invest in their company. The
Well,
problem
yeah.
right now is that they have money to lose. They won't lose it, but they have the money to lose. And what they need to do is downsize into a company that can make money doing the thing that they used to do, except now with the same market share that they actually have instead of like the market share from 2010, which
Yeah.
is what they're built for.
Yeah,
That's it.
before the meme stock, they probably had like 2 years left, especially with the
Secondly-
pandemic. And now they have a decade left. If they have operating losses every quarter, they can probably survive for several years.
Secondly, they should bring back Game Informer.
Well, that was the argument I had with Frank. Frank was sort of resigned to the fate of print, but I said, listen, you can still do a lot like as a marketing tool. If they reminded people, hey, listen, we have Game Informer. It's one of the only mainstream gaming magazines left to remind people they existed. And hey, we're going to do a sale on the print and digital subscription. They could have raised support as goodwill and be like, okay, cool. It's there because they even had gotten rid of it as part of their fucking the customer.
Yeah, but I
subscription plan.
kind of land in between you and Frank a little bit, right? Like, I think there's more to be had from Game Informer, but I also do think that print is dead. Like, as a comic book reader, like, there's just no way to say that.
It's not dead here, my friend, with these certain
Pat,
guidebooks.
that's an independently published book that you sell by hand in person. You know what I mean? Like,
I sell it online. What do you mean?
I'm just saying, like, part of your marketing strategy is you going around selling this, and that's enough for the amount of books.
Sure.
My thing is, what it should be. Do you know what the previews are, like solicitations are with comics? Do you know what I'm talking about?
the previews or solicitations.
It's like a magazine that comes out like once a month that kind of like gives you like 3 months peek forward into like what issues and stuff have been
yeah, it's
solicited,
kind
and
of
what trades.
Wizard kind of used to do that, right? A little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, like a trade mag. So Wizard's a great example because Wizard used to be pretty much Game Informer for comic books, right? Like that's pretty much what it is, right?
Sure. Then they had
it
the
was
center, the centerfolds of the bikini babes. Stuff
Yeah,
like that,
and you could get it at your LCS, right? Like you go down there and you have your Wizard subscription tied in with all your other subscriptions.
Okay,
and all that.
I used to buy Wizard at Barnes and Noble, but yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
you can
same
get it at
thing,
comic
same
shops.
deal. Yeah, whatever however you get your comics, right? But like eventually, Wizard died because nobody cares about comic books enough to subscribe to a separate magazine when the internet is like the haven for comic book people and gamers even more so. So what they should do, and this is what I would do. I know they were running some podcasts and stuff already, but they should make like almost like a Devolver Digital type creator program.
Do a whole digital push, a digital entertainment push.
And do not like entertainment, almost like make Frank Cifaldi really happy. You know what I mean? Like do like some people
partner up with people in the industry that are entertainers already to push
and make like a legitimate entertainment network. Make like a Earwolf type situation that kind of like is like a prestige video game content company.
Sure, I know
That's
you're
like,
not. I know you're not allowed to do corporate Twitch channels. That's like a thing you're not allowed to do. But
Yeah.
if you can do some form of streaming of stuff, new games, obviously, but then also you have they had a podcast already. I was not even aware they had a podcast. That's a problem. I had no idea. If you did people doing video reviews and stuff, like it's something, and at least it puts the name out there to
like
then
buy a podcast, buy a really good video game podcast.
hire
and make
Alex and Pat. You know, do something.
I'm just saying, buy a really good video game podcast. Sponsor like 3 or 4 YouTubers that maybe like your person who scouts those YouTubers isn't like a greedy asshole. Maybe
Sure.
let I don't know, dare I say, a nonprofit that's looking out for video games themselves choose the curate. You know,
Sure,
or even that fucking podcast that Frank does. That's like purely about video game
or
preservation.
sponsor them. Do so, like at least put out some goodwill.
Bring it into the fold and
that's where I
actually
sort of
put it mainstream and make money. Put it on
where
NPR. Yeah.
That's where left wing Patrick gets annoyed because, you know, not everything in business has to be profitable, and a lot of things in business are not. A lot of it's marketing costs and PR costs. And then, hey, eventually, maybe there's something there that attracts people to that as a business venture. Eventually,
Tangibly, those
Yes.
are things that are valuable in the same way as money for
Yes.
companies that they often just callously and stupidly ignore because they don't actually know what they have on their hands. You know, thank God Coca-Cola, you know, knows what they're doing. You know what I mean?
That's why I said, like, the amount of, like, I don't care if, because you know, they had already cut staff before all this. You know, I don't care if that magazine loses them, we'll just say it loses them 15, 20 million a year. It's probably less than that, Alex. It's probably like 5 million. It lose them, or 10 million in the cost of the staff. You know what I mean?
It's nothing.
It's nothing. And it's at least that you can then engage your audience and let them know it's there still and be proud of it as a legacy product.
And put a little free version maybe in the store that people can take that has ads and has like stuff from the stuff that you make that makes money. Like you could do a tour, you know, you could do like a podcast tour with your artist if you're investing in somebody who's you know, like somebody who's actually quality. You know what I mean?
Do something.
Yeah.
Even if the print magazine itself goes down to only 100,000 people in the world that are buying it digitally, or hell, 20,000 people are buying it digitally and or print, you could then use it as a legacy product to spin off of. That's brilliant. I didn't even think about that time.
Your membership, you know how they used to do memberships that like give you Game Informer?
Yeah, they used to do in the store. They sell it to you. Register
you can think about it like you could do like a Patreon coded kind of thing, even where you like pay for your GameStop subscription and you get like extra content for all the shows and stuff.
I argued to Frank that if they had let people know, hey, we're not in good shape, you would have got a lot of positive support. Just because, hey, maybe I haven't read Game Informer in 20 years, but hey, I remember liking it. I'm going to put in for, you know, whatever, an $80 subscription, a $100 subscription to keep it alive. You could have revitalized it if people had known if it was going away to try to save it. You could have at least tried. Like, they did absolutely nothing. And they wanted to shutter it and not, it's like, oh, this is still around. Fuck it, it's gone. So
and how much would it cost to make like a small digital indie label to do like GameStop records, like remix?
It doesn't cost anything because there's 12 different independent, you know, companies right now that put out indie soundtracks and they publish games. Every convention you go to has 3 or 4, you know, super strictly limited, super rare games. Like I could start my own independent physical Switch publishing company. Anyone can do it.
I guess the answer is like be Atari. Like think about yourself again in a new light with what you have and reinvent every aspect of it.
Yeah, at least Atari has the name cachet, and they've been making better decisions the past few years.
But that's what I'm saying. GameStop does have a good name, I think, in general. Yeah,
bought Digital Eclipse. They bought a couple other little studios that if GameStop had the fortitude and wherewithal, they could have bought single and double A studios and at least taken the shot at publishing. At least taking the shot at game publishing. And maybe not even call it GameStop. Call it whatever the fuck you want to, but at least it's part of your business that makes sense.
Yes.
And then you can say, well, we put out this game digitally, and guess what? You can buy the physical version at GameStop.
Start like limited run games, but make it in-store exclusives.
Exactly. Their version of limited run games where we're gonna curate, and we will do digital publishing to make money, obviously. But then, hey, guess what? GameStop will be the exclusive seller of retro game compilation, Volume 4 that you can get only at GameStop, and give people a reason to come back to the store. And just have a different imprint. Name it something, you know what I mean? You could have done anything, and they still can. They got $1 billion sitting there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if anybody is listening to this show who has any sway at all, like seriously, it's not even like I'm shooting for the moon. Like,
no,
what
not.
I'm saying is, like, you could hire somebody to do this. You could hire somebody to just listen to this segment that we just did and make something like that occur and pay them just to do that and give them a budget of $100 million and they could change the world.
They wouldn't even need 100. That's what they'd need like $10 million.
That's what I'm saying. $100 million would literally be
$100 million. You can buy like AA studios. You could buy like 20 of them.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You could buy, like, you could make, I don't know. There's so many things you could do with that money.
I mean, you can, like I said, if you want to become a limited run games, that doesn't cost that much at all nowadays to get started on the ground
floor. There's like 5 or 6 of them that are all successful.
Yes, they're all successful.
And you are GameStop. You could do it.
Yes.
And also make your website work better.
But the point is that they don't want to. They're happy being a meme stock company at this point. Like, that's what they are. That's what they are. We have a bunch of cash, but the funny thing is that when you have all that cash, like that, the cash sitting there doesn't get distributed out to stockholders. Only like the profits does.
It's just lack of faith in institutions that's driving all of this, because the zeitgeist has shifted for people with big money and big portfolios.
Well, you get young tech boys in positions of power like Cohen, who are like, well, I managed to leverage all this technology for Chewy, and now it's like, but that's not how games work.
They're just prepping for the apocalypse and trying to build up their own little base on the bones of as much shit as possible.
Sure.
Before some shit goes down.
It's their rich boy playground. That's basically what it was. Hey, NFTs are hot, or they were a year ago. We're going to do an NFT marketplace, even though that's not GameStop's business. Never was, never will be. It's garbage. It's charlatan shit that everyone knows is out on the way out, and it failed spectacularally.
Yeah,
but they don't care.
And I'm not an alpha, and I'm not a strong guy, and I have no money, and I can't do anything about this, and I can't change anything about the way this is going. And I can just say what I think about it. But if so are you, listener. And you should remember that. You know what I mean? Just because it's going your way now doesn't mean that you are getting what you want. You're just collateral happiness to a company that's doing something just for them.
Sure.
And that's not how it should be. And my idea would be better for both of us, even your greedy little ass made-up listener who I'm mad at.
Why couldn't we be put in positions of power at GameStop? At least we go down swinging.
Yeah. Dude, I genuinely believe that right now, like, if there was like a reality show and we were like the 2 guys that were put in charge, I think people would be like, it would be like one of the biggest success stories in business. Like, we could just...
It'd be like the Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, but of business.
Yeah.
Project
Goodwill Hunting.
Searchlight.
Yeah, exactly. It's like us just coming in and saving GameStop. We could turn into like one of the biggest companies in America again.
I think it'd be rough, but I think there's a way to make certain portions of it profitable. I really do. But yeah, a lot of stores would probably have to close. I mean, that's the only way it was turning a profit at all in that one quarter before, like I said, before the pandemic. Probably shut down more stores, but try to launch all these other initiatives.
It sucks that's where it is, but like that's the corner that they've painted themselves into by leveraging all these cheap ass workers.
Because the last 25 years they didn't they failed at becoming their own publisher. They failed at doing a digital. Hell, they should have fucking bought Steam like 20 years ago, 25 years ago. They should have just like thrown all the money at Valve that they could have, if they could have. You know what I mean? Like,
Valve is too punk. Valve is too punk to ever let them get bought.
I'm saying that's what their way out was. They should have invested in being a huge digital game marketplace. That would have saved them. But like 20 years ago,
I wouldn't have recognized. I would have forsaken them at that point. But right now, I feel like the average gamer wants GameStop the way it was when they picked up, like, circa midnight release of Arkham Asylum for Xbox 360, I think is like about where people would love GameStop to be at aesthetically and visually and functionally in their lives. But it's not.
But also the Zoomers don't buy physical media anymore, so that's the death anyway, eventually. So
I guess you just got to be the size of the market. That's it.
Sure.
There doesn't need to be as many GameStops.
Eventually there'll be 100 of them, and then they'll survive. The same way now there's like only 6 Sears stores left in the U.S.
Yeah, you can go see a black and white movie in some very key places. You know what I mean? If you want.
Sure.
Yeah.
So this next topic is
this is our recurring segment, Pat's enemies.
No, it's not.
Going into.
Well, this isn't going to be a bash 'em segment. This is more of a contemplative segment. But I will go over a little bit of history.
Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah.
So in the past month or so, a bunch of YouTubers have chronicled the downfall or end of the YouTube career of ReviewTechUSA, Richard Masucci, who was in theory a tech reviewer, but then just did a lot of commentary, did a YouTube drama stuff.
He's like a pundit. He's like there's this weird type of person that's like not really political, but like kind of ideologically aggressive. And they are like they take on the affectations of like a news pundit, but they're just kind of like a culture pundit. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that's called.
Sure.
Is that us? Is that us?
Gamer culture pundit.
Yeah.
But so I had Richard on the Not So Common podcast twice as a guest. We're talking 8-9 years ago.
He's graced these halls. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, which just gets into some of my comments and thoughts later.
Has he been on more episodes than me?
No, you've been on now, 5 or 6. You're officially.
Oh, wow.
You got the jacket. You got the jacket.
Oh, nice.
So
can't wait to see that.
And then obviously we had a falling out, which I'll get into why in a bit. And then he's attacked me and Ian a lot over the years. He's done like live streams calling me and Ian gay lovers, like talking like humor that would be passe like 20 years ago. He's made fun of Frank, even like the lowest of low. This person obviously thinks very little of themselves.
How are you gonna come after Frank?
What's that?
How are you gonna come after Frank?
I know him and his fucking loser friend at the time, who edited with him, also did that. Yeah, we're talking people that just don't have the talent enough to put out good content and just have to rip into people that they know are levels above them in terms of creativity and talent, which is what our relationship turned into over
That's kind of just how the people that are running GameStop are doing it too, though, if you think about it.
They're running GameStop the same way.
Yeah.
They're just mad at everyone else, all the mom and pop game stores that are better.
Tell me how you think the CEO of GameStop feels about other CEOs. Happy at them or mad at them? Because I bet you it's closer to mad.
I just think it's a rich boy's playground. That's what it is. But anyway, so the point is that June the King put out a video, like a documentary length, basically talking about the history of ReviewTechUSA, and he's done that with a couple of other contemporaries who have fallen out of the public eye over the years. And it's interesting that I see this happen every now and then with people that either I know or have known, or with this person have publicly feuded with. And what's interesting to me is that it's like the rest of the world finding out what a piece of garbage a person is that I knew about directly for several years, and it's not even hubris, or it's not even like joy of it happening. It's almost like disappointment that everyone's been so late to the party. The same way it took everyone years to figure out that Tommy Tallarico's a piece of shit after he be treating me and Ian horribly for years, and now it's like, wow, thanks for showing up. Like, where were you 5 years ago, sort of deal. And that's basically how I think about the situation.
You don't think it's just like a told you so a little bit?
No, because I don't get joy out of that, to be honest. And I said that on the CU podcast, I honestly don't. I'd rather people get on board with me being correct earlier when it's more important. Like if people had gotten on board earlier about Tommy Tallarico being a charlatan, he wouldn't have blown through tons of money and have taken all pre-order money from people that didn't know better. You know what I mean? Like, you want to stop the hurt before it happens. You want to cut it off before it happens.
So what you need is like a radioactive spider.
Is that what I need? I can web sling around and stop these people with fists and webbing? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Or I'll push you in front of a chemical truck and you can like tell if people are lying or whatever.
So I knew like Rich had a semi-bad history with like screwing over an advertiser on his show, the whole big cheese thing. And I knew he had weird vibes back when I interviewed him a couple times, but I guess I felt bad for him and like, oh, he's turned himself around, give him a second chance. And that's why I sort of had him on the Not So Common podcast several years back. And that's sort of where some of the pain comes from, because I basically gave him the benefit of the doubt and it ended up stabbing me in the back later on. And that's where a lot of the vitriol, every once in a while, we'll just call him a hack who's not talented, and then he would spout off and like send an angry tweet or whatever. But it's the truth. But that's what makes me even more ashamed of it, is the fact that he like besmirched my channel and my show and basically my trust and having him on the show. And that's where a lot of the sort of the, I guess, over the year vitriol came back around. Is like, well, if I never interviewed him twice, if I didn't meet his fucking ex, fiance and their kid, and didn't like, I would feel a lot more ambivalent about these proceedings. I'd be like, oh, he's a piece of shit, but okay, now it's like, this is someone I knew that I trusted at some point that's now being outed for a bigger piece of shit than I thought. Doxing people, false DMCA strikes on YouTubers that were critical of him, stuff I never knew about, coming out, or at least has now been everyone seeing how this person really is.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Like, I have a very different sort of like way of dealing with conflict, I think, than you do.
Sure.
So to me, like, there would just never be a situation like this where like I would be like outspoken about somebody's like shittiness because they like stabbed me in the back or something like that. I don't have very like, for me to have a tumultuous relationship with someone is very rare.
Sure.
Because
you're a live and let live Southern California dude.
Yeah, live and let live, but also like, I don't know, like, I feel like it's hard to, I feel it feels hard for me to like jump on the train of like talking shit on somebody in general. So like for me, like if you're making a video about somebody saying somebody's a piece of shit, like Tommy Tallarico even, right? Like who?
Well, I've never done a video about one person calling them, hey, this one person.
No, it's not like us, like not like a hit piece. I'm just saying, sure. Like if you like in an episode of your show or something, if you say something like that, right? And whatever, I'm never gonna then say, oh, actually, like Tommy Tallarico is like a great example because he's one of the few people who I really just feel comfortable with saying bad things about in general, just because I'm very knowledgeable about what he's up to and what he's doing. But like this guy Rich, like I take your word for it that this guy did some scummy shit. And
I'll tell you what he did.
You don't even have, like, I'm just saying, like, I will just take your word for it, like, genuinely. But regardless of what I believe, it takes a lot for me to ever like go in a public forum and call someone out. Like usually, and maybe it's just because I like to write, but usually like I would do something a little bit more directly intentional or like considered if I were to express an opinion like that. So it's hard for me to weigh in, but I understand what you're saying about like, just, it's kind of like knowing about the Hindenburg or something and running through the streets trying to be like, it's going to blow up. It's going to go. I
never actually publicly talked about like the scenario of what happened with our falling out. I'll do it now. Fuck it. I don't care. And
well, but I mean, besides that, I mean, like, besides like giving reasons for him being shitty, I'm just saying it's difficult for me to like jump on a hate train in general because I just don't jump on hate trains.
Oh, I don't want you to hate. This is just, I'm just laying out the facts for you.
No, of course. But what I'm saying is to speak to your feeling of like, sort of like sadness and sort of disappointment that you said, right? Like,
yeah, it's because like I always knew this person was bad. Not just because they did bad stuff to me, but I heard other things. Right. And they sort of won the algorithm lottery on YouTube, which happens a lot with people that don't deserve it, that don't have talent, and just, put out, just cheap fucking content that's forgotten about the next day. And then, people that put this person on a pedestal while this person attacks me and Ian throughout the years, it's just bizarre. Or like, that's like, it's a weird reward system on YouTube that's not based in any form of logic or of content being decent or good or any form of justice. I just say that, basically that's what it comes down to. But eventually what goes around comes around. When enough people find out that you're a piece of garbage, then stuff like this kind of happens.
Right. Like, and you're left feeling bad because you're beating the drum for a while And
Yeah,
you feel
it's
like
way past. It's like milk that's like a year past its due date. It's all disgusting. And
But what should they have been doing earlier? I guess is my question.
well, like it's sort of like not that they should have been doing anything.
Like shunning.
I don't think shunning is just recognizing people and believing who they are the first time. And maybe that's like that was my mistake. I didn't believe the person who they presented themselves to be. So it's like sort of like it's partially my fault, which is why I also feel that way.
So you feel like you didn't do enough to get somebody to act.
No. It's almost like I feel bad because I shouldn't have put myself in that situation to begin with. This is what happened back then. So like I said, Rich had been on the Nutscum podcast a couple times. Whatever. We talked about a couple of minor controversies, but it's like okay, they were ho hum sort of interviews that happened. So then Ian and I did the commentary about the Diablo Immortal thing, and they had at the BlizzCon, and
The mobile game.
Yeah, we basically told people like get the fuck over it. It's a mobile game.
Yeah.
Ian even said it's gonna probably suck, but they're still making Diablo 4. It's like don't play it. Who cares? Like don't like
This simply is not the game to be mad at because
Yes.
it's not the game that you were looking for.
like the vitriol over being upset over a fucking mobile game that's going to be inconsequential.
It's equivalent of just like being mad because there's no Smash trailer, even though no one said there was going to be one.
Yeah, and of course, Ian and I, we got a little colorful with our language, but then like 3 or 4 big YouTubers, including Rich, did videos attacking us for our opinion on it. Like we were the news. We became the news for like 2 weeks. Like it was bizarre. It was bizarre because it was like what? Like people are really coming after us personally. Like we kicked their kittens, basically. But the reason why it was more upsetting that Rich was one of the ReviewTechUSA was one of the people who did the video is because I had a scheduled interview supposed to happen with him the same time he did that video. So that's where it came from. So this is the timeline of what happened back then. So November 10th, this is like 2018. I said, hey, up for another podcast conversation this week? He said, sure. When? This is all from our Twitter DMs. I still have them. I said around Tuesday. Sure, name a time. Was thinking early afternoon, your time, 2 p.m., maybe 11 Eastern time, my time. That was on November 12th, 2018. He sends it out. On that day, he dropped his video attacking me and Ian while we were going through the process of me scheduling another interview with him. And he ghosted me. And on the next day, I said, hey, Rich, what do you think? The video that dropped about me and Ian has been dropped already. I had no idea it was out. And he didn't mention that in the Twitter DMs to me. He said, I'll definitely come on the show apart, but I won't be able to do it today. 1, I have 6 videos that I have to work on at the office. I can't be here tomorrow. And 2, I have a kick-ass cold. But again, I'm definitely willing to come on. The video attacking me and Ian came out the day before he sent that DM to me, and he did not mention it. Huh?
Well, okay, so let me ask you another question then.
Sure, go for it.
So, because this, maybe I just don't understand this because this is definitely not the type of content that I consume. Is the type of content that these types of guys make. Do you think that there's sort of like a professional understanding between people who like are drama channels that kind of like do feuds a lot and do a lot of like arguing and kind of like
that it's just part and parcel. This is how we act.
And yeah, like do you think like maybe like in his mind like it's not that crazy because like it's like almost like a professional courtesy that he's kind of like attacking you sometimes to generate content because we both know that he doesn't give a shit, right?
Sure.
Like, well, what I mean is,
here's the point though. He had never done that sort of content about me before.
I still think it's scummy, and I still think it's bad content in general to make.
Yes, he did it because like the Quarterling did a video and he hopped on that train. He's like, oh, other YouTubers are doing this. I better too. But the point is this. I wasn't a nobody to this guy.
Do you think he would have been glad if you made a video about him back?
No, he knew I would because I never did that content before.
But I mean, like, if you made a hit piece about him, do you think he sees that as like, oh, nice traffic?
No, he's not that sort of person. He would have been all pissed off. Like, again, this isn't a nobody. This is a person where I met his family. And so that to me was like, wow, no honor amongst thieves, but I wasn't a thief.
That's that's so like old school that I met his family and he betrayed me.
But I did. It wasn't like I was just some rando That and the fact that he couldn't tell me, hey Pat, I did this video, no hard feelings, even though he put like, you know, the most cantankerous sort of thumbnail, like say like sit down fucking babies and stuff like that. Like he made it very clickbaity. It wasn't like a respectful way to even market that sort of content. You know, he did it for maximum effect to get people riled up at me.
Right.
So the fact that he didn't even tell me until like a day, like I had to like look at what he recently put out, because he said, oh, I put out 6 videos. Then I see the video in black and white, and he didn't fucking tell me. Like it's just like,
do you do courtesy when you like are gonna dump on somebody? Do you tell them?
Let me give you an example. The best example of someone I knew personally is I reached out to, when Greg left the Completionist show, I reached out to Gerard to talk to him about it for comments, and he never got back to me about it ever. And then we talked about it on the podcast. God, that's like 10 years ago at this point. You know, like, and that was the closest thing to it.
But when the video was about to come out, were you like, just so you know, there's a video coming out where somebody says some stuff about you that you're not going to like?
I have to go look. I believe I did say I was going to talk about it, but
I'm not trying to get you on the record about it. I'm just trying to like, is that the type of thing that you do?
Yeah.
You say, hey, I'm about to cause you a shitstorm, maybe?
Well, I wouldn't even say shitstorm. Like, because a lot of times when we're talking about stuff, we're not like going out of the way to, I think, attack the person individually. It's just, hey, we're talking about the situation when it happens. It's it's rare that I know the person personally, but even when it's happened, like, I did try to give a couple of people a heads up or get their comment about something. Absolutely. When it was happening.
Okay.
But this was not like, the thing is, like, this to me wasn't a news story. This was like, you're talking about me having an opinion about something.
He's just talking shit on. He's kind of using it as a scapegoat to like swat down a dissenting opinion that's appering in forums and shit. Right?
Like, you're talking about podcasters having an opinion. That's not like
you're
news
embodying. You're the embodiment of a type of person that they want to bully with this video.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like we became a scapegoat for, hey, we're part of the corporate establishment, even though we weren't. Ian said he fucking hated the idea of the mobile game. So it was all a weird maelstrom that happened for me and Ian for those couple weeks. And the fact of the matter is, like, if we had done the interview, he could have brought up and asked me directly about it. He could have went at me during that interview that we were trying to schedule for around that day.
So did you find out about it and just say forget it?
I found out, and I said, this is what I said. And I hadn't seen the whole thing. I didn't see how bad it was, and I was still kind of in shell shock that we were getting attacked from like all angles. I said, I also saw part of the video you did in our coverage of the Diablo mobile. I don't mind you doing it, but as a professional courtesy, I would appreciate it as a heads up. When I see people message me with, Rich is going after you, then I have to go see what they're talking about. And I said that because it was embarrassing, because it went from me trying to schedule an interview with someone who then puts out an attack video not telling me, and meanwhile I have people DMing me on Facebook and on Twitter saying, hey, Rich is attacking you. And I'm like, what the fuck's happening? I just texted this guy, I just DM'd him.
Do you feel like you exist in the same ecosystem as Rich?
Back then I thought I did, but obviously I was wrong.
Well, I mean, like, okay, like, do you see it as like you and Rich have like similar jobs, like you on the CU podcast and him on his show, but then like you guys are on two sides of like some sort of moral line of what's on and off limits?
I think back then I was paying attention to his content of trending in the right direction. That's why I had him on as a guest. It was like, I think like I would not have some drama YouTuber on my podcast. I would not associate.
Well, I mean, like, we're saying he's a drama YouTuber, but like that's not all he is, right? Like
correct. He's a commentator on tech and news and game news and
games and stuff. And I'm saying like that's kind of what you do, right?
Correct.
So I'm like saying like, do you see him as like in your world? Like, is he like another version of you with different morals? Yeah,
I guess on some level, if you put it that way, yeah, he's like a version of me with no ethics. That's the way I kind of see it. And I didn't know that's what he was. And that's what I guess annoying more is that it was like I got tricked into thinking he had some sort of, ethical code when he doesn't.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm still interested that you feel sad. Like the thing that I'm wondering, the thing that like just to go to the reason you brought this up, right, was not that we want to like go tit for tat with Rich, because I don't really care. I don't know this guy. I have no horse in this race. I'm sure he loves his family. You know what I mean? But like, it's interesting to me that you're saying that you feel kind of sad because it's like you were using as an example Tommy Tallarico, right? So like, let's go back to that example just for a second because it'll be easier to talk about because we know how it went, right?
We know how that went.
I mean, the damage is like we can all agree that guy like fucked everybody out of money. Like there's no question.
Misappropriated money. He sent his goons after me and Ian.
I have no reason to doubt this video about ReviewTechUSA either, but I'm just saying it's much.
But the video lays out facts. It's not.
I have no reason to doubt. I have no reason to doubt it, but I'm just saying the common knowledge is that Tommy Tallarico is a fucking huckster.
Yes.
Right. And you're saying you feel bad when you have been talking about him for so long and for so long and for so long, and if people had listened to you sooner, there would have been less money lost.
Not just that. I mean, it took a toll. Not like a huge toll on me and Ian with it, but like. No gaming journalists were looking into the things we were saying at the time where we were 100% correct. Like, hey, this console isn't coming out when Tommy says it's coming out. This is the reasons why. We laid out all these facts. And it was just disappointing that no one had our backs. And
journalistic coverage?
What's that?
Journalistic coverage? Or like
we were covering it in a journalistic way. We actually
well, that's what I mean. Like, you're lamenting that there weren't, like, articles being written?
Yes. There weren't, like when we called out, for example... The big turning point on our when people came out when he sent his goons after us, all his little YouTubers and sycophants. It was June 2020 when we found those 4 job listings for like firmware engineer.
Right.
It was like software engineer. It was like manufacturing assistant. Like it was 4 jobs that should have been hired 2 years before for a console that was supposed to come out
just
4 months from now.
Just flagrant signs of like malpractice.
Yes,
basically.
Flagrant signs of we have lied to the public for years about this console. We took pre-orders knowing this console is no way coming out later in the year. We're doing this to prop up for more investments. And to me, it was like, this is fraudulent. It was, and that was a turning point. And I thought stupidly, like, hey, this is major gaming news. And no one looked into it, had our back.
So in the context of that, it's really just the mainstream gaming media failing you that you lament in Tommy Tallarico's case.
Well, not just that. It was now this is a whole different topic, but there was no major YouTubers that like were commenting on news that had our back. Or
just like saying the same types of things that you were saying.
Yes. Basically. Or they said, well, these guys are overzealous, or I don't like Pat and Ian, so they're wrong about this.
Okay. Without belaboring the Tallarico thing, because I think we've done that. Go watch the Pat the NES Punk
the playlist about the Tommy Tallarico.
Yeah. You go watch the playlist.
Watch the 60 video long playlist about the Intellivision Pico.
It's like the Zack Snyder cut.
I should do literally like one 14-hour video.
You know what you should do? You should put it in black and white and do it in 4:3. That'd be so funny. But real talk, what I mean is, okay, so that's the like thing that could have been prevented. That's the thing that could have happened to prevent it. In the case of Rich, right? What makes you sad about that? What could have people done?
I don't know, just like not watch his videos as much. Like that's it's like
you just wish he got fucked over earlier.
You're just supporting a guy who doesn't deserve it. That's a piece of trash. But obviously, we know in our world
that's entertainment, baby.
I know that's Hollywood. That's music. That's not. Let's put it this way. Like I was talking to. That's what I was talking to. That's why I commiserated with Paul from the Continue Show. It's like we were talking about. Yeah, like a lot of the people in the circles of like YouTube and online content creation. Not all, but a lot of the people are not good people. And then you learn that, I guess, in general, a lot of entertainers, they step on people or step over people. They do whatever they can to get ahead.
And if not straight up bad people, just deeply and
troubled,
totally ignorant to their own flaws, deeply flawed, broken people.
Oh yeah, I knew YouTube. I know multiple people personally that started off having, and when I knew them, had like no subscribers and are now like they have millions of subscribers, and I saw their personality change from being nice people to the egocentric, people that wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire, like sort of thing. And it's like when you see that happen over and over again, it is sad in a way. It is sad.
So maybe the sadness is just having to existentially perceive the gulf between what is moral and what people who have the same job as you are willing to do on a day-to-day basis as part of their jobs.
Yeah, I guess it's like the lack of cosmic justice in a way.
Yeah.
It's a lack of like, there really is no, like the people that deserve success and get ahead. I'm not saying it's me, don't usually find it, versus the people that don't deserve it get it thrust upon them when they shouldn't have it. Like that's part of it. And in entertainment, obviously that happens a lot. There's a meritocracy somewhat, but not by and large. It doesn't exist. Meritocracy almost only exists in sports. That's really where only
anything
exists.
where you just the measurement is numbers is the only way.
The measurement is, well, how well did you do? We can actually measure it.
Well, that's actually what's scary about entertainment today, is that companies are trying to artificially sort of do that with numbers, or by occluding numbers, like the way Netflix was getting away with just not having ratings and just kind of doing whatever they wanted, or like YouTube trying to, I wish there was like a study in how like topics of videos have changed since people have become aware of the algorithm and what they must do to activate it.
Sure.
But like, I was just talking to Davis this morning, my buddy Davis from the Warp Zone on YouTube, who I get coffee with a lot in the morning, and he was talking about a video that he put on the Warp Zone channel, like back in the day when they were just doing whatever and there was no algorithm to worry about.
Why does that sound familiar? The old Warp Zone YouTube channel? That sounds familiar.
Warp Zone is still popping. They're doing great. They did the Dune popcorn bucket joke TikTok about fucking the popcorn bucket. They're doing great.
The fucking the bucket. Okay.
The Wolverine bucket got the sequel video. It's all good. But he was talking about how he made a video one time on that channel where it was just hard hits, like Max X style, like hard hits clip footage, slow-mo, like people crashing and stuff.
Okay.
And to John Mayer's Gravity, because it's just funny. Like, it's just a funny bit to like show people crashing to the sound of that song, right? Because it's ironic. And how pure of a like simple and like unworried, like not even worried about whether or not people are going to like it idea it is, and how
it's
pure.
Literally car crash videos with music.
Just people like wiping out on skateboards, people like taking a hit at a baseball game in the Nards.
Just blooper video.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's gravity, because gravity, like the force of gravity.
Okay.
Right? And it's just a simple joke. It's not actually a good joke. It's not actually a good idea for a video. But we were just waxing poetic at how little care there was for like success and growth and all these like career objectives at one point in uploading videos. And I lament it.
You lament it when it was more like a playground where you just uploaded whatever, and if it hit, it hit. If not, who cares? You move on.
I'm not naive enough to think that you could ever keep something like that. Like Vine is the perfect allegory for like, something that just like Icarus just exploded and died far ahead of its time. But I just think that the idea of pure creation and pure fun, and it's just a shame that we have to worry about like weird feuds and like the way we treat each other behind the scenes, and people being like sociopathic assholes because that's what they feel like they need to do to like succeed. You know what I mean? That's all. I mourn that it has to do with the career.
Money changes everything, for good and bad.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
It evolved from a hobby to a business for a lot of us that are still around kicking, and for obviously everyone getting into it knows it's weird now. Think about getting into YouTube in 2000, the past 5 years, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
Where it's like, before
should have done that.
Before it was like, well, this might not ever be anything besides just a weird creative outlet on the side, and now people get into it. This is going to be my career.
Like they're starting a food truck or some shit. Yeah, exactly.
They're starting a content food truck. There you go,
yeah.
Alex. There you go.
That's literally what it feels like. Like people go to the store and spend like 6 G's on a setup and build a room in their house, and then they just like make videos for 135 people.
Is that what they really do? Because I always used to tell people, do not spend money that you don't have to do it. You get into it cheap and easy, and then if you grow as you build, like you build as you grow. Like
you see the little Instagram reel of them building it, and
especially nowadays, like. God, now we're doing a whole other topic, but when I started off, you had to spend hundreds of dollars to get a camcorder. You had to. There was no viable cell phone camera that could take anything worth a damn in 2008. There
But
was
it's all just a costume, you know. Like you want to have the ring light because that's what the gamer room looks like. You want to have the LEDs in your keyboard.
Well, yeah.
Because,
Now you're right. Now you have a pastiche you must match to everyone else.
you do a fast motion video of you setting it up and it's playing music like.
Oh God, that sounds awful. People do that.
It's like clapping and you do like little bits and you know and then you like do little gamer poses and you put your headset on and you're.
Oh, is that a thing that people do that? Really?
I just feel like there's a experience now of being a gamer influencer person and it's not like, hey, let me like, I'm a freak who's gonna like make some videos in my basement, which is what it should. It kind of feels better.
I was a freak in my garden apartments talking about baseball stars.
yeah. That's
turning
like
off,
to me
turning off the AC so it was 85 degrees, so you can hear me with no lighting.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like that's pure. That guy's never gonna feud with someone. You know what I mean? Like the guy who's worried about like turning off the AC so that you can hear him on his microphone so that he can make his little baseball stars video. That's art. That's creativity. And I, you know, stuff like this, the sadness that I feel from stuff like this shitty feud and you having to like feel like you're this boy who's crying wolf over this guy and nobody's believing you. And then finally the wolf's eating all the sheep and you're sitting there like, I told you guys, I just wish there were more sheep. I wish there were more sheep. Yeah, like I just feel like it's sad in a bigger way than just you. I think it's just sad in general that this is what we have to think about, and I think you're sad about that same thing, in a way.
But it's microcosm for humanity. I mean, there's always people at the gates warning you that the hordes are coming, but some people don't listen to you or listen too late. That's what always happens. You know, in this case, it has to do with fucking shitty YouTubers. Like that's the only difference.
Yeah,
I mean, people warn people about larger issues and people that don't listen. Existential issues, like, hey, climate change is a thing. We might want to do something about it. We'll wait until it's too late to reverse it. I mean, that's what's happening basically right now. It's,
exactly. Then you have to get the email that your favorite animal's gone. Like it's gone. It's wiped out.
Or the habitat's gone. I mean, we're going to be able to save all these animals nowadays, but they're not going to have any natural habitats. Right. They're all going to be in zoos. That's happening.
Well, we have to get that plastic-eating bacteria, and we have to work real hard, and we have to get cars out of cities, and there are ways to fix the planet.
Get cars out of cities. Well, LA is the poster child for, fuck mass transportation. We're going to be driving, just add 2 more lanes every decade.
We all have challenges. I wish that I was just taking public transit everywhere. Like, I wish I was. Like, I don't think there's anybody in Los Angeles who loves driving in Los Angeles.
I had no clue how beautiful and historic Union Station was in LA. I'm like, holy shit, this is like a real train station.
One of our classic buildings.
This was built like 80 years ago and it's fucking gorgeous. 90. There's still like the gold trim that existed probably in the 30s. And why isn't anyone using the train system in Los Angeles?
Right. Well, they are actually like
they're pushing it. They're trying it.
They're actually renovating it right now. There's a huge train. It's on its way to LAX. They have the train track already built that's going to go right into the terminals. That's going to be huge. It goes so much more farther south.
I guess the point is this. It's going to take 50 years to get the infrastructure how it is in New York City, where you can get to anywhere within 10 minutes by the train.
But if we all start working all over the world, all together at the same time, even just in our big fat smog coffin fucking country, if we can just do that, if we can just turn it down and not let rich people make us leave the doors open for no reason.
To teach the world to sing.
Yeah. Hey, that was Don Draper,
Yeah, that was the best ending to a show ever. Spoilers. Don Draper did the most famous commercial that ever created. The Coca-Cola Teach the World to Sing commercial.
All he had to do was find himself. Actually.
Find himself and then realize, I'm at peace. I will now market the hell out of this commune I'm at.
I would like to buy the world a Coke.
It really was the perfect ending to that series.
Heart. Yeah, it was as annoying as the Sopranos ending, but just as good. Also.
You thought it was annoying? I thought it was poignant and perfect.
I mean, annoying in the way that it was actually subversive and kind of like a surprising ending to the average viewer. But I thought it was good. I also loved the Sopranos ending. I just think they were both so thoughtful and great.
We're going off the rails there. Okay, so I promise next time that I will not talk about any feud or any drama or beefs between anyone.
Why?
Because I don't want to be known as that person that, hey, the Notscom podcast, we talk about beefs with YouTubers, every episode. And honestly, there's only about 3 or 4 people. So, like, there's not many
You
people
just had
left.
to get it out of your system. Yeah.
Yeah. And, and this person, I didn't really take a lot of shots at Review Tech. He was more talking about, I'm
You did say he has no talent, and it's not an opinion. It's true.
Well, I didn't say it's not opinion. It's true. But it is true. So, I mean, someone that just reads news stories and adds, the bare minimum
don't
opinion.
go in. Don't go in.
What?
Rise above. Rise above.
What did we learn today on the Not So Common podcast? We learned that you should not wear shorts to a semi-formal wedding. That's for damn sure.
We chose the word semi-formal because people who know what it means would dress acceptably, and people who didn't know exactly what it mean would try to hit the vibe. That's all we wanted.
Well, the vibe was not shorts.
Okay. Somehow, psychically, everybody showed up dressed exactly the same.
We learned that GameStop shouldn't gaslight me into thinking they have real retro game stores.
Invest in quality. Invest in culture. Invest in the community. Just invest in something worthwhile. That's it, GameStop. Jesus.
Just hire us. Hell, I'll do it for $500,000. I'll do consulting for you.
I'll do it for $25,000.
Oh, no, I need a little more of that.
Give me 4 months.
We learned that Alex's wedding was an 8.708. 3 repeating.
That's pretty good. 8.7 is like basically an 8.8.
I mean, too much water would have docked you a couple of points on there.
Yeah. We did a little better than Alpha Sapphire.
We learned that mixers also includes juices.
I was surprised.
I feel like you need a refund. That's I don't want to say disgraceful, but never in the history of the world has mixers for alcohol not included some juice option. Never.
That's how I feel. It was
orange
called
juice, cranberry, pineapple. Come on, it's not that hard.
At least that.
Hell, even orange juice and cranberry alone, you can do like 18 different drinks.
Yeah.
And then lime juice for a fucking margarita. Let's go here. Let's fucking go. You gotta get remarried. I mean, that's the only the way to fix it, Alex.
I have a lot of wine left over.
A lot of wine.
Yeah.
What did you learn anything from me, Alex, for being an insane person?
I learned that we can't control everything. That's
you
what
didn't know that before.
I think that we affirmed it today. Let's say that we found some real life. We found some peace in the fact that we can't control everything.
Sure.
And next time, instead of talking about video games the whole time, we'll talk about Marvel movies or something.
We only talked about GameStop. We really didn't talk about video games.
We talked about video games indirectly in all 3 of our segments. Because if we didn't, how do I know you went 7-0 with somebody on Puzzle Bobble?
Oh, that's a wedding story, though.
Yeah,
no. It was best of 7 against Cameron.
Oh, okay.
And I was up 3-0, and they came back to 3-3. They thought they had a chance.
Cameron, you're on notice, bro.
And Pat put him away.
Cameron, you're on notice.
Try to distract me with the sweet talk that he has, and then I put him away. When I was
Cameron's
up 3-3.
a sweet man. He's a sweet boy.
And then we also learned that casting Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom is very... sorry, we didn't talk about that, but it's very desperate and annoying.
I have a lot to say about that, actually. We can talk about Marvel Comics in general next time.
No, it's too late. It's not a comic podcast. Those do terribly.
Oh my God! Wait till there's some killer Marvel news next week. I swear.
With the few times me and Ian tried talking about comics on the CU podcast, those segments did so horrifically on YouTube. I was like, "There's
look at you! Look what they've done to you, Pat. Look what they've done to you. You should be putting John Mayer's Gravity to car crash footage right now.
I should just give up.
You should just do what you want to do, man. You should just follow your spark. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Right, before I start beefing with you, Alex, we're gonna sign off. We'll see you, I guess, in a couple weeks.
Yeah.